Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here on self-discoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Nancy Giere. We're going to be talking about your brilliance and how to ignite it. She has a book, Bundle Your Brilliance, and we're going to be finding out all about what the book is about. It's got a wonderful illustration on the front, lovely clean colors, very bright, very crisp. So no nonsense. It's all about inspiration. And we're going to be talking about strategies that you can use to set you apart from the competition and make clients fall in love with what you have to offer. She'll talk about how you can turn your expertise into profitable online courses so you can showcase your brilliance, bring in your content to life, leave your audience wanting more. Well, also talking about how to turn your experience into interactive engagement webinars, workshops, online courses, so that you can increase your influence and expand your reach. She's worked with entrepreneurs from all walks of life who want to turn their expertise into a profitable online program so that they can scale their business. She's very passionate about this because early in her career, she was on an accidental course creator. I've got to find out what that is. And as she grew into her career, she learned methods, strategies, tools that made a difference. And she wanted to prevent people from making those mistakes that she made. That's the reason why we do this, folks. So you get the potholes, but not the Grand Canyon. And she wants them to create a course that with ease, and that one that will be very, very inspiring. She's also a course creator where she's worked with business from all sizes, from solopreneurs to Fortune 100 companies, turning their expertise into high profit courses. And she creates engaging, fun, and interactive programs for all. And that's the thing, before COVID, many people were doing online programs, and they understood the impact of it because it wasn't just serving your area, it was serving globally. And then, of course, pandemic came along and that changed everything. And now people, well, they were forced to change their businesses to online. And now it's just become something that's so easy to do and opens up the world to you. So your clientele base has just expanded considerably. So it has an enormous amount of benefits, but there is a strategy in order to do this where it's going to work for you. And that's where you come in. How important is having a strategy rather than carte blanching it all?
I think having a strategy is critical.
Yes.
Because, the quote from Lewis Carroll, if you don't know where you're going, any place will do. Right.
Yes.
And, and if you're taking people along with you on a journey, you got to know, well, where are we going to get to in the end? And more importantly, where is it that they want to get to?
Right.
And how can you be their guide to get them from here to there?
And if you're going to show them how to get from there to there, you have got to have mapped it out first.
Yes.
From all different angles, because not any one client going to be exactly the same, right? You're going to have different needs for different businesses, for different people. So you really need to know where it is you're taking them and not just know kind of the one line, but all the multiple lines that they could take.
Yeah. Because they're, and that's one of the things that connects into with adult learning is adults like to have choices about what to do or not do along the way. So, coming up with a path and with different options. I was looking at something the other day and we thought, well, let's break up some of the learning modalities here, where some of it is going to be video, some of it will be documents for people to read, some of it will be audio. And there was one place where we thought, we want to have a paper version of what's in the video. So if somebody would rather read than watch, they've got that choice.
And that's important to have that choice. Just because you like a particular style doesn't mean the one size fits all. I'm a true colors coach, the 4 key personality traits, and we've all got a particular personality that is our lead. The traits are according to our experiences and who we are in life. And that is the way you're going to interact, and that is the way others are going to perceive you from that perspective. So you have to kind of broaden that to know whom you're talking to. You know, if
Mhm.
you're an analytical person and they're a person that's more free-spirited, then they're going to be looking for a strategy that can house this free spirit so that free spirit actually has some structure to it. But you also got to make sure that if you have, you know, somebody that's analytical, along with another analytical, that they do have something that's inspirational in there and inviting for that other audience that aren't all analytics. So
This is
it's
true.
really kind of knowing whom you're serving. But I think most importantly is who is serving.
Yes. Well, those two definitely go together because you have to know whom you're serving. You have to know what your market is. And then what is it that makes you uniquely qualified to help
Mhm.
them? What is it that you would bring to the table that's different than I would bring to the table?
Yeah.
And that really, I think, is what can make a huge difference. And, you know, I think you alluded to this, we have a tendency to want to teach the way we want to learn ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And and there's, you know, essentially there's 4 basic styles. There's people that are auditory, there's people that are visual, there's people that are kinesthetic. There's one more that's flew out of my head for the moment, but if you just do one style, you're only going to tap into one group. You can't you know, have it be perfectly balanced across all of
Hmm.
the groups. So what compensates for that is by changing up what you do and
Yeah.
how you deliver it, so that the things people retain their interest, particularly online, if something is changing.
Yes. Yes. They don't like stagnancy because it is about the flow. You know,
Yes.
by keeping things going, having
Yes.
yes, but what else, or what's next, or how
Mhm.
else can I do it? Because very often you've got people talking to their computers, you know, how
Yes.
do I do this and all of that? And so it's rather like a fan, isn't it? It's not just a one linear, one foot in front of the other. You've got a fan of information here. Which particular road suits you? And
Yes.
when you're creating this from your business, you don't want to lose um, too much from the core of who you are and what you're doing, because that is everything that you are and what your business is the core of you, and people want to feel that core. But
Yes.
it's how versatile can you make that core that speaks to more than just one set of people.
It's, you know, it's figuring out what you can do to make a connection
Hmm.
and hold that connection. And people are buying you. They're buying
Yes,
you and
yes,
your brand.
yes.
So what can you do then to make you and your brand accessible,
Hmm.
so that somebody can take it in and understand it and be able to look at, well, how can I apply your teachings to my world?
Yes. And you know, we can get carried away with enthusiasm, um, but at the same time you've got to build people's enthusiasm up. You know, we get a lot, and you know, I don't know if you remember back in the days, flash that we had, you know, which was so irritating. You go into a site and you immediately flashed in your face, which I found
Yeah.
really, invasive, um, intrusive rather. But I think that in order for people to get to that enthusiasm, be enthusiastic, but at the same time, invitational in your inspiration, because that invitation now lets them know, well, I could be a part of that. I could do that. I would like to feel that. But
Mhm.
you've got to make sure it's always set in as an invitation, kind of the breadcrumbs for them to gobble up
Yes.
along the way, because otherwise it's like, well, that's what you do. I can't do what you do because I feel too detached
Right.
from what you're doing. So the invitation must always be there, doesn't it?
Yes. And, you know, to invite people in and to come across in a way that's very genuine.
Hmm.
So someone doesn't feel like, oh, you are so far ahead of me. You're
Yes.
so far, I can't
Yeah.
possibly,
Right.
I can't, you know, you know, to be able to create possibility. You know, oftentimes you'll go to a speech and it'll be, you know, a professional athlete or someone who's overcome all kinds
Mm.
of adversity, and you're like, I'm just sort of this regular person. I grew up, you know, in a normal household, but you know, I don't
Yes.
have I want my life to be better, but I don't have to overcome as much as you did, or I'm not in a place where I have to train 6 hours a day
Hmm.
to get to where I need to be. It's like, what can you do to take what you've got to be inspirational and to always be able to frame it around, I did it, and so
Yeah,
can you, and
right.
this is how.
Yeah. Yes. I always say inspiration begets invitation. When you're inspired by something, it invites you to want to be a part of it or believe that you can. But yeah, as you said, you listen to some stories and you go, oh my God, what they've overcome to where they are today. But my story isn't anything like that. Do I have to go through those obstacles in life in
Yeah.
order to do that? Or can I just look at, there isn't one single person on this planet that doesn't have a challenge or two along the way. And so, how can I look at my challenges, not comparing them with someone else, but my challenges? And how can I meet those challenges in the same enthusiasm or in the same sight as they are doing? But,
Yes.
I've only got a molehill, I haven't got a mountain. Well, that's fine
Mhm.
because we don't want the
Right.
molehill to end up being a mountain, right?
Right.
So,
Well, and comparison is just so dangerous,
oh, very, very.
right? And you can have five people in a room, and their worst thing will be all different
Yeah.
levels. But it's still my worst thing. If that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, that's my worst thing.
Yes.
It may not be as awful as what happened to someone else, but my feelings are going to be at the same level because I'm in that place of this was my most difficult
Right.
thing to overcome.
And it's the challenge of how do you move from where you are, from whatever obstacle you had in your life? How do you move forward on that? And I think, a lot of people are taking courses today in their own self-discovery and take this course, that course, and maybe this course gave them this and this course gave them that, but it's all part of your building blocks into your
Yes,
own journey of life. So when you're creating a course, you've got to make sure that it is the buffet where people can partake what they need and what they need to eat, rather than this is it, you've got to do it my way, 7 days, 7 figures. Well,
yeah,
we don't want the rah rah. We want to know, I want to walk forward on this journey with as less wobble as I can, right?
exactly, exactly. Yeah, and that's where being able to come up with really good stories and examples
Mm-hmm.
that resonate with the people that you're working with, that they so that they can look at it and go, okay, I see myself in that story. And because I see myself in the
Yes.
story, now I'm open, as you said, the invitation.
Mm-hmm.
I am open to receiving what you have to offer me because I
Right.
can see myself.
The
And
relatability. Yeah.
this is why, a lot of programs that are very generic, if you will,
Mhm.
they're not that successful because the participant can't see themselves.
Can't connect.
It's so general
Yeah.
that it's
It's
like,
so
oh, I've heard that
AI.
before.
Yeah.
So AI, so chat GPT of you.
Yeah. And that's the thing is we are hungry for connection. The
Mhm.
COVID physically separated us, but I think it also showed us how separate we've become in society. And we are creatures that love to be around other people and feel we belong to a tribe.
Yes,
And, we want to feel that if we're going through a course, that that person who's teaching it is kind of part of that tribe, part of our building blocks, really does care. It's not about the money, it's about the investment in another soul. And their
exactly.
achievement is never mind how much money the course costs, but the achievement is seeing that person go from a closed flower to an open bloom. And that's really where the true enrichment is. So I think people need to understand when they're putting courses online, what is the real outcome that you really want? And if it's money first, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. Because the outcome isn't about me.
Hmm.
It's about the people that I serve.
Right.
It's about when they're done, what are they going to do that they couldn't do before?
Exactly.
What are they going to know that they didn't know before? And how are they going to feel?
And are they equipped with the right information to take them on that next journey of life? Because that's really what you're doing, is the sharing for all these courses is not only opening up in their own self-discovery or opening up to a skill or this or that. It's about, yeah, the breakthrough. And yes, I'm ready to take that journey. But what skills have I got in my backpack now that I can apply on my next phase of my journey? If they're coming out of it just feeling inspired, but they've got nothing tangible to apply to life, is that you, in a lot of ways, you're setting them up to fail because you've shown them they could be this open flower. But
But
now
yeah,
what?
but
So
because oftentimes we don't give, or a mistake people can make is, what can you have them be doing to start to build this new skill
yeah,
while
yeah,
they're in the program? And then what do you give them so that when they're done, they've got something that they can then apply, some sort of a
yes,
tool that could be as simple as a checklist. Here's the 5 things you
hmm
need to do every day, whatever it might
right.
be.
But something that
When
serves them
you're
on the next
writing,
path.
if you're going to be writing articles,
Yeah,
here's 10 elements. Here's the 10 elements of a great article. And I'm just making these
right.
things up here, but the idea being, it's, they've got some way to transfer. It's like they're in
hmm
this learning environment, then they go to their desk, and you don't want them to be there going,
What now?
oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'm all infused, I'm all energetic and ready to go. But what do I do? And you want them to have the tools in their hands. Okay,
Yes.
all right, what's the next step? Number one, you know, and
and
that's where you want to set them up for success.
and oftentimes we refer to those as job aids. They
Mm,
don't need them forever, but they need
right,
them when they've just come out of the learning environment.
right.
It's a support system
hmm
to keep them moving. And one of the challenges people have, if they're producing a lot of video content, it's pretty unlikely that somebody's going to go back to the video and try to find that, let's see, was that at 7 minutes and 30 seconds or 8 minutes and four, where that thing that, so it's
Yes,
always good to give people some kind of a written summary of, these were the key ideas that
yes.
we talked about in the video, or offer the opportunity for a written version, a transcript, because you can go through a transcript and read something more quickly than you can by just
And that goes back to,
replaying.
whether a person is auditory, visual, or, detail reader. I mean, I set my show blogs up that way. We have content of what we're going to be talking about, the bio and the person who's doing it, the graphics there, but there's audio and there's video. I want to take care of all of those 4 key personalities, and they're all going to
Yes.
get something out of it.
Yes.
Because, some people may listen the first time round, but I don't know where to go back and listen to that one bit. So in a transcription, you can read all about it, or you can then reach out to the person and say, you talked about this, or you talked about that, and
Yes.
and that's the thing is, it's all very well inspiring, but you've invited them to take that next step, and you need to prepare them for that next step. But how many people may start off with an idea? I'm taking this course because I want to do that. And then through the course, they go realize, that isn't what I'm really wanting to do. It's this. And so have the tools that you've given them, redirectable to something else that they may have chosen to do, because that's part of our self-discovery. May start off, I want to do this, and then realize, that's not really where my strength is. Through this course, I've discovered this, this, and this is a better direction for me,
Yeah.
right? And that's okay. But again, as long as they walk
Yeah.
out of their
Oh, sure.
with the right tools that apply. So your tools have always got to be flexible as to wherever your client is going.
It's perfectly fine for someone to walk away from a program saying, I don't want to do that.
Right. Now you know what
Because
you don't want to
that's
do.
just part of the learning journey, to
Yes.
say, I had somebody working for me several years ago, and she wanted to follow the instructional design path. And the instructional designers is just what I've got my advanced degree in. We're primarily responsible for writing, shaping, or organizing all of the content.
hmm
But then there's a group that we would hand it off to that are the digital producers. So they're the ones that create I would write a script, for example, but then they bring the script to life by coming up with the visuals. They do all of the editing and they put it together. Well, as we're going along and she's kind of getting a taste of all these different projects. And she says, I thought I wanted to be an instructional designer, but I'm more interested in doing the production work.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so we'll go down that. But so as she was learning along the way, she was making clear decisions about where she wanted to go next. And that's just part of life. I mean, we've been experiencing that. You go to college and you think, well, I'm going to major in biology. And then you get there and you go, nah, I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to study
Sounded good,
history instead.
but yeah.
My father wanted me, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the thing. I was thinking about being a doctor, but nah, I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't stand the sight of blood. Maybe I shouldn't be. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we don't know, A, what we're good at, or B, what we want until we're willing to take the journey of discovery. And nothing is a waste. If you've gone through a course and you realize that, no, I don't really want to apply it to that. Was this a waste? No, because what you've learned through the course now can just, as it be redirectable into another arena. If it's a good course, you're going to be able to come out with skills and tools that can apply to anything.
Exactly.
Even if it's like a nursing course and you decide, no, I'm not going to do nursing at the end of it, there's still skills and tools there that you can redirect. And I think that's something that's really important for us to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody may be in the middle of a course and go, this isn't really for me, but stay with it because those tools can be used elsewhere. And in that discovery of why you don't want it, you may discover something else you want to do. So don't give up halfway.
That's very true.
Now, putting a course together, there's obviously different types of templates for different types of programs. But is there a kind of a basic one that every single program needs to have?
Yes. Well, the first step is you want to come up with what I call a course transformation statement, which describes what is it that people are going to be able to do when they complete the course. So which really gets at, this is the purpose of this course.
Yes.
So by the end of this course, maybe it's a course about LinkedIn. So you'll be able to do your banner, your about section, your blah, you're real clear about, this is what I'm going to teach people. So you want to have that as the first step. Then you look from there and you go, okay, given if this is the outcome that people are going to get from participating in this program, what are the topics that I need to cover? So you come up with then a list of topics and then a list of key points for those topics. So I think of that as that's the what. This is what we're going to do, what we're going to cover. Then you look at, okay, how am I going to teach this? And that's where you consider, is this going to be a live event in person? Because we can do that again. Is it going to be something I'm going to deliver on Zoom? So it's going to be a virtual learning experience with an instructor, or is it going to be an online evergreen program? And each of those, whichever of those three you choose, then you want to design for that particular delivery method. And then there's different types of exercises that work for different types of content. You want to take a moment and step back and say, how much practice does someone need to really develop these skills, and how much feedback do they need? If something needs a high degree of feedback, you probably want to do something that's going to be in person or in a virtual online format, so you can be there to observe and give feedback. Then I talk about this all the time. I worked on a curriculum for a gas utility, and it was the welding curriculum. You can't teach welding in an online course.
Right.
Because that you have to pick up a torch.
Yes.
You have to
And we don't really want you to pick up a torch while you're on Zoom.
Exactly. Things could go, what could possibly go wrong,
the
right?
curtains have gone up.
But so that's something to step back and say, how much feedback do I need to give somebody for them to be successful? A lot of programs the best of both worlds is when you can combine programs together.
Theory and practicum. Yeah.
So let's say somebody's learning a particular coaching methodology. they can learn a lot of the principles, the guidelines in an online format. But eventually, right, they're going to have to, they've got to coach people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably good for them to get some feedback on stylistically, how did they come across?
Mm-hmm.
You know, were they being very directive and telling somebody what to do? Were they being supportive? Were they able to meet that client where they were? Sometimes you can't always see that. So somebody can be observing you and saying, you know, for that client, you needed to show up in this way.
Mm-hmm.
For this client, so kind of helping people make some of those distinctions. So when you can kind of look at, we've got all these opportunities now, all these ways that we can engage people. So think about, well, how can I put it together in a way that's going to create a very effective program? And how does it fit into the way that I do business? How is this going to fit into what I want to offer to my clients and how I want to show up in the world?
Mm-hmm. You know, your versatility can come in your program and in your delivery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're teaching the basics, fundamental skills, but your creativity of how fun you want to make it, how interactive you want to make it, how silly you want to make it at times, you know, that's where you can assess your audience, so to speak, and go, okay, this lot's a serious lot. Maybe I shouldn't bring out this funny part of it. Maybe redirect it into something else. It's going just because you've created this course and you believe in it and you want people to get ABC out of it, they're going to get out of it what they need to get out of it. That's out of our control of how people use it or what they use it for. All you're doing is teaching them the how and setting them up for success. But we can't be dictatorial again. It's you are the instructor. You are the coach. So you are coaching people and instructing people how to do it. But if somebody goes and does it slightly different way because that makes more sense to them, but they're still going to get the same result, that's also okay. Because you do see so many people, you know, become the director who almost becomes the dictator. No, you've got to do it this way. No, I'm sorry, you can't do that. No, you have to do it like this. And it's there, you know, if you've got those have to do it like this, no, if I suggest you do it like this for this reason, then they're going to see the reason by it and the logics behind it. But when you've got somebody saying, no, I've designed this course, you've got to do it exactly as I tell you, then you're not allowing that clientele to be in their own self-discovery of how to use this for themselves. It's all about you. So I think, again, why are you putting on this course? Whom does it serve? But why are you wanting to serve these people? What do you want to get out of it?
You know, and the content does dictate how much choice is involved. Now, certainly, I imagine most of the people that are watching this program today, they're probably in the more of a coaching and consulting space. So they're working with people that have some degree of experience so they can make those choices. But I will say, if something is involving, and this is obvious, I hope, but safety.
Yes.
You know, there's certain places where you've got to do it like this from a safety angle.
Yes.
Right.
Like the blowtorch, yes.
Right. But if we're looking at creating spreadsheets or something like that, or writing a story, if you come at it from different angles, but you get a great result, it's okay.
Yes, exactly. So there's the, you're getting in the car, you put the key in, you got to make sure you're in gear, check your mirrors. There's the logics of driving the vehicle, right? But again, where you're going with that vehicle, who's going with you, what you're going to do with that vehicle is up to you. But you've got to know the basics on how to drive the damn thing, which I'm sure many people out there haven't taken a driving lesson.
Do you want to take the direct route or the scenic route? And then there's driving in different countries. I was just in Sicily, and then there's the whole thing around the honking horns and what that all means.
Right. Yes, I remember in Italy is, I was always brought up that people stop on the curb and wait for the car to stop. And instead they were just walking across the road and you better stop.
Everybody kind of claims their space, and somehow, I don't know how, but somehow it all works.
And you see how fast the cars are whizzing around. And it's like, it kind of reminds me of the movie Death Race 2000, whereas if you hit as many bodies, you get score points. I don't know if you saw that warped movie from back
I
in the
missed that.
back in the 70s, and the older or the younger, they got more points, and just people scattering. And very often driving around Italy when I did, it felt like that. You felt like, any moment you're going to see bodies flying, and it is, but somehow they make it work. And it's
Somehow they
yeah.
do, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's living in the chaos.
I felt like if I drove there, I'd be more dangerous because I'm not.
Exactly. Well, that was me. It's like, why are you stopping? Keep going because this person's crossing the road. Just drive around them. you know? So that was back in 75. So imagine the traffic is a lot worse now.
I think so.
Um, but it's like driving on the other side of the road. I'm going to be in the UK in a couple of weeks, and um, I started off on that side of the road, so that was no problem. But it's for me, the big problem is when I get to a roundabout. Which way do I
Yes.
go? Right? So
What's next? Yeah.
what's next? And I think that is something again when we talk about the adaptability of your programming of whatever course or whatever you've had to learn, is that how quickly can you be flexible to shift gears, so to speak, and shift to the other side. And if you've had a good course that's taught you those fundamentals, it may take you a moment or two to, where am I? Okay, yes, I do that. And because those tools are there, they're embedded in you, and they
Hmm.
will adjust with you when you need to adjust.
Yes. So
That's a good
yeah.
course.
Yes, yes. Well, you get guidelines,
Yeah,
and then you think, and the great instructor will then not only give people the guidelines, but help them to apply them to
yeah.
different scenarios. And that's, I think, when things really can shift in a person, where they can have this concept that they can use and across different situations.
And of course, if they've been used to teaching any of their courses in person, it's a very different thing online. In person, you can go stop and talk to someone and ask them a question while they're doing something, and if they need explanation or anything else. But on Zoom, when you're doing that, you're generally doing one-on-one, or if you do have a few people, it's a little harder to do that, a little harder to tap on the shoulder. Are you okay? You got stuck on something? And so it's a different adaptability, isn't it, for online?
It is. Well, one of the things is when you're in person, you can read body language more than you
Yes.
can
Yeah.
on Zoom. Particularly that, the more boxes you have, the smaller everybody becomes,
Exactly.
and so it's harder to pick up on something that's potentially going on, or that, for you to call on someone and say, what do you think about that, or
Yeah.
to be able to bring them in
Hmm.
into the conversation. When you're on Zoom, all about, you can do things like, type a one if you're with me, type a
Yeah.
two if you're not sure, you
Yeah.
can type in the chat,
Exactly.
and you
Yeah.
can get quick reads. But
Hmm.
it's a very different type of a situation. uh, Putting people into breakout rooms
Hmm. Hmm.
shouldn't appear to be challenging, but how often have you been put into a breakout room and you get there and you go, now what are we supposed to do?
Yes.
So you have to be much more clear
Hmm.
in your instructions. We have some written support for
Hmm.
people. Invariably, if you put handouts out ahead of time, good chance that half the people will not have downloaded them ahead of time, and they'll be, where's the handout?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
these kinds of little things going on, which is where it's nice to have somebody come on as your digital producer or digital
Mm.
concierge, and they can handle all of that type of administrative
Yes. In the
work
moment
for
during
you,
the course.
so
Yes.
you can be focusing
The teaching
on the
side of it.
people
Yeah.
and asking questions and keeping everything
And
moving.
there's a big point there. I'm part of this 262 Step Up, Stand Up and Speak Out event, which is on the 8th of every month, right up until Women's Independence Day next year. And they bring on a whole load of speakers. And it's great because everybody's, listening to these speakers, and we're communicating in chat. Uh, and it's very inspirational, but they have somebody who handles when to bring people in, when to this, when to that, if somebody's got
Yes,
a question.
yes.
There's another one I'm on where we don't necessarily do breakout rooms, but we all go around. So she has what we call a conductor, the director, next person to speak, then the person after that. And then you have the person whose actual platform it is. So they
Mhm.
can come in and comment on this and that. They're not there going, next, being distracted. So that is very, very important if you're going to be on a digital. How easy is it to move them from room to room or next phase where
Yes,
everybody can get that material? They're not lost. What do I press? Where do I go? What do I do? It's there in front of them, ready for the next phase because you're keeping them in flow. And the
Mhm.
last thing you want to do is throw them off kilter because it
Exactly.
might be hard for them to get back into flow again.
And sometimes, depending on the number of people or the content and the amount that people are engaged, the chat can just fly by.
Yes,
And
and you go
you
back, but what did they
you
say? And I've got to scroll up, and now you're not listening because you're scrolling up, trying to find what that person said. Yeah.
so that's, it's, I always like to, when I have somebody on that's helping me, to say, I need, to watch the chat. And many times you'll have multiple people with the same question. So then she can come on and say, Nancy, it looks like we have 5 people that want to know more about how to set up their home studio.
Right.
And then you can say, hey, that we're going to
Mm,
get to that later today, or, be happy to talk about that, but that's not the topic of the day. And,
right.
so you can manage the people better. Because the other part is, when someone's on Zoom, there's always, I've got 2 screens. So you could be teaching me something now, and I could be like over here looking at my email, right?
Yeah.
I could be doing other things,
Right.
and then just kind of wait until something piques my interest. So one of the things I thought that they did that was very clever in the 262 group, which is, I believe, where we met,
Yes. Yes.
is they had a trivia question at the end of each person's
Yes. To see how
session.
you're paying attention.
And
Yeah.
so you, oh, I got to pay attention because I want the prize. And maybe you
Exactly.
really didn't want the prize, but the
Yes.
fact that there was a prize.
Right, but yeah, and then there's the other thing. What they have is that you put in your answer, but with your email, so that the person who's organizing it know who came in first with their email. No
Yes,
point having a
yes.
name on, I've got to search for your email. No, right? And so how many people put in the answer and forget to put in the email? And that again is like there are some things you know that are always going to be repetitive. So
Mm-hmm.
have it in your mind, repetitive. Answer email, answer email.
Yes, every time
That's
we're going to
what's
do the same
required
thing.
because
And then when you move then into the, where it's evergreen, where, it's just me and my computer, and I'm going through and I'm working through this content, it's hard for me to ask a question.
yeah.
Or if I have a question, how quickly am I going to get a response?
Hmm.
Am I going to get a legitimate response that's really helpful, or am I going to get, connected to a bot that, after has like 5 things that it knows, and that's it?
I'm sorry, can't answer that. Rephrase
Yeah.
your question. Yes. I know. Yes. I had that recently and they didn't even know where I lived. Like it's a big city and I'm giving the city and sorry, cannot compute, don't know that city. And I'd be like, and you want to hand everything off to AI. AI
because
is great.
this
It's great, but not everywhere.
because as soon as somebody gets frustrated,
Yes.
they're out.
Their concentration is gone. Their interest in it is gone. They may come back
And
or they may not, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the thing that we want to keep people in a growing flow, that they're going from I don't know anything to I'm knowing little something, or I'm getting the hang of this, or I'm really liking where this is going, or this is really fruitful. And they're constantly growing in their energy of frequency, and they're really involved in it. Somebody comes along kind of like with the needle, across the record that can
Yeah.
disrupt that thinking altogether. So it is, but at the same time, things do happen,
Yes.
especially when they're online. And it's like things happen here on a podcast. I own it. If I can fix it, I will try. Sometimes you can't. It's better to own it. So if you do have an interruption during a course, technically online, then it's best to say, okay, folks, we're just taking a 5-minute break while we sort this out. Chat amongst yourselves, right? Or use this as a pee break or whatever
Or
the
figure
case is.
something out.
But
Well,
don't show your frustration, right? As
well,
the,
just this morning, I was doing an event and my smoke alarm went off. There's
oh,
something off with my dryer, so it's venting this very
mm,
moist air out and so my smoke alarm went like, so I had somebody else there
mm.
that could carry the program to say,
Yes.
okay, listen, answer the questions. I'll be right back. Everybody's like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on? Is she gonna come back?
Yeah.
So, there's moments like that. So I had somebody there to back me up. But if you don't have somebody to back you up, so another time I had 3 different tools that are games that people can use to put into online courses. And I wanted to demo the games in the program. I go to bring up the first one and the demo doesn't work.
Love technology.
So I had to turn it into a teachable moment
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, here I am. I have this great tool that I want to show you, but I can't. So what would you do if you were faced, if something happened that you planned that didn't work? What would you do so that, the show could go on?
Right.
So I was able to turn it into a little bit of a dialogue and say,
Yes.
this can happen to you. And what was interesting is several people said, I was so glad that happened. Because it shows that you're just as vulnerable as we are.
And how in a vulnerability on the spot that you can take control.
Yes.
Because everybody's afraid of losing that control, right?
Yes. So that was probably better than if I would have shown it to them, because it made them feel confident. When I talked earlier about showing people this is so great. I did it, you can too.
Yeah.
So in that moment, that was a you can too moment where you can recover from whatever comes your way. Because frankly, in a lot of what we're doing, it's not life and death here, right?
No, exactly.
We're just helping people to live better lives.
Right, so sometimes just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, let it go. And that's even something you can get your people to do. All right, sorry folks, we've just hit a chaos there. Everything got thrown up into the air and has landed. Now let's just take a deep breath and get back on track, right?
People have had, children running behind them.
Yes.
Dogs and cats. Dogs, I have, my head of security here will chime in from time to time. I always make it a point, whatever I do something, is I deliberately wear a headset. I have a good microphone,
right?
But I wear the headset because some voices will trigger the dog, and I don't want her to engage in the conversation.
No, she probably has a lot to say.
She does have a lot to say. My life is run by a miniature dachshund.
Oh, wow. But that's a huge point. One thing I loved about COVID, when all of the talk show hosts had to go online, suddenly we're not seeing the suits and groomed anymore, or people coming all in the best makeup for their 3-minute thing and off. We're seeing actual real conversations with people that are relaxed in their own home, looking au natural. And I don't mean naked. I just mean natural in their presence, because they're in their home, in their habitat. And it was so actually really rewarding, because we got more out of them. They were more willing to talk and kind of be relaxed on how they were doing things, and less detachable where they are on the screen. And I think that for a lot of people, it became a better connection for some people that couldn't connect physically, that this was not just a connection during COVID or any other time, but that you can really have some meaningful content online. And it's just a question of how do you set it up in a way that it engages people, that they're not doing something else in the background, that they're so engaged that they forget the email and get to it later.
Yeah, they're not, watching the show and working on their knitting.
Yes, yeah. And I've taken a number of courses in my life, and I'm one of these people that I'm the extrovert, introvert, alpha, beta. I'm all, always on the cusp of things, and kind of a little of both, which we all are in some ways. And true colors, I'm a screaming blue, which means that I literally, you may note, I don't know if you were there, but every month when Deb just throws something out to me, Sarah, blah, what do you think? And I have to go into automation. So I know it's coming. I never know when it's coming or what it's going to be about. And then it's like, okay, got it, compute it, and what comes out. And I haven't got time to think about what comes out, because I'm in the moment. But then your preparation of what you've done in your life, the experience that you've had in your life, the things that she's asking is something that I'm experiencing or can talk about in my life. Then you become confident that what is coming out is making sense.
Yes.
Right. And so that is what all of these courses type thing do. They're preparing you with the right skills, the right way to use those skills to build up more confidence in who you are and what it is you have to offer. So then when you are put on the spot, you're not feeling uncomfortable. What do I need to know about this? Which page was it on? No, it is you. As we talked about, you are your business. People need to buy you before they're going to buy from you. So if you can be put on the spot and at that moment really be able to deliver a human, flawsome, whatever person, then people are so much more at ease, because it's genuine. They know that it literally has come from the heart. They know their stuff because they've been put on the spot. They didn't have to refer to anything. It's
Mhm,
there. It's
mhm.
integrated in. And that's really what anybody who's going through a course of anything, that's what we want, isn't it? We want to have them get to that point in their life where they can speak on their subject with passion, with conviction, with coming from the heart, but with articulation that is invitational.
Yes, yeah. And that just, and the more life experience we have, the
Yeah.
more you can do something in the moment that appears to be very spontaneous. On the one hand, it is, but because of everything that you've built up, there's just this natural flow.
Yes. And especially when it's coming, you're tuned. Your channel is there, ready to receive, right? And
Yes.
that's the important thing. Um, we may redirect in life and take a different course. I've taken numerous courses in life, and it's like, okay, you're right, now that one really didn't apply. I do know that my goal, which is organization, structure, you know, if you looked at my desk right now, it's chaos because I'm trying to find my passport and I can't find it. So everything is in chaos right now. And I can functioning for chaos. I'm one of those people. But for some other people, it's got to be absolutely orderly. And if things aren't going absolutely right, they get thrown off kilter
Mhm.
because they need that order. Um, I think learning from any form of course that can show them versatility, when to be flexible, it's okay to have some chaos. You can make order out of the chaos, but you've got to have a little chaos to make order out of it.
Yeah.
Because we've all got to step out of our rigidity of our personality trait and blend those other personalities within ourselves as well.
Yes. Really, to just, I think there's something just so powerful about being able to just be in the moment.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's your true authentic self, isn't it?
Mhm.
And we've got enough fake news and fake people out there. We want to know we are dealing with the true authentic person, because then that builds a trust, that relatability of what you're talking about. It is that invitation to let's take this to that next stage of a business relationship, working relationship, whatever relationship it's going to be based on. Um, we're looking for door openers. And when you feel confident about who you are and what you're doing, that inspiration, it opens that door for other people to then
Yes.
want to know more about you. And that's really,
Yes.
with so much scamming and mistrust and fake news and everything else out there nowadays, we are looking to know that it is real. You're real. And that's why I talked about the agenda when you're putting a course out there. A lot of people will put courses out there that are automated and people go in and do them, and there's nobody conducting them. They're just going for the next thing, next thing, next thing. And they can sell thousands of these and make lots of money. And all you get is a video of them. Da 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 da. Fill out my course, big, 7 figures,
Yeah.
and you've now completed. People don't want that. Right? They don't want that. They do want to know there's still a human being there that's helping them through the course. Yes, there's some things you can go off and do, and you don't need to be there for that. But then maybe that next stage results. How did you feel going through that? What were your obstacles? Where did it take you? What did you learn? We need the interaction because that's the solidifying of the knowledge that we're learning.
Absolutely. And yeah, most people that I work with, they come into it and they think, well, I'll just make millions and millions and millions with this online
Yes.
course. So my first question is, well, how big is your list?
Uh-huh.
How big is your reach?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather work with a smaller number of people
Yes.
and offer a higher ticket program where you can really engage more? It's probably easier to sell 10 of those, then thousands of an online program.
But 10 people now who are completely immersed in that program and all that it has to teach them, they're going to go out more ready
Mm-hmm.
to take
Mm-hmm.
what they have learned and apply it, as opposed to a whole load of other people that may give up halfway through the course because it's not making sense and they don't know what to do next and they need somebody to talk to.
Yes, that's
Right?
so
Because we
true.
don't all learn generically the same way. That's one of the things wrong with our schooling system. It teaches everybody the same way, and we all learn differently. And if you're a coach and you're seeing people go through your course, and you realize they're not getting it because it's not their language, so to speak, you can be there to help them
Well,
actually understand it. But when it's just an online course robotically, then it's where are you there to help people when they get stuck?
that's the biggest challenge when coaches want to bring in an online course, because one of the gifts of a really good coach is being able to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And the sequence of what's you may, if you're working with them one-on-one or in a group, you can see, okay, we need to move, we need to go in a little bit of a different direction
Yes.
here, given where everybody, the collective is or the individual is. If somebody's trying to go through something online, you can't give them that.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe some diagnostics where people can know, go down one path or another, but you can't, it's not as easy to get them to the heart of what they
Right.
really need to take another step.
Yeah. So whether you're doing an in-person course or an online course, your interaction is still absolutely essential. And
Mhm.
also to realize that you may have a dozen people there, but then one or two people are not getting it, not getting it at that time. And you don't want to leave them behind and you don't want to showcase they're not getting it.
Yeah, you don't
How
want to call
can,
them out.
yeah, you want to be able to, able to speak to them in a way that they feel, that they're, "Oh, I'm stupid, I'm not getting it." You don't want them to have that feeling. You want to feel it them and say, okay, what do you think about this? And then you, from that answer, you can actually gauge where they're getting stuck and
Yeah.
address it. And believe me, there'll always be somebody else out there who's put their hand up and says, I'm getting it, and they're not. All right, that are very grateful for when you
Of
actually
course.
stop and address something because, okay, yeah, that's what you meant.
Yeah. So, how often have you been in a group and somebody else has had the same question that you do?
Yes, yes, exactly. So I think, I don't care how advanced we are as human beings or how much we get other, AI or bot or this or that to do things for us. The human interaction is still the most important thing.
Yes.
So what your course could be absolutely brilliant and wonderful, but where are you in it?
Yeah. It's really, you've got to be able to appreciate the differences and move people forward.
Embrace the differences. We all learn differently. And it's, I think also it's to start off in a course and saying there are no stupid questions, right? And,
Right.
if you feel that you've got an observation or you're stuck on something, I don't care how silly you think it is, let's look at it. Let's look at it, because once you've got one or two people that have done that, then other people are more likely to put up their hands and say, okay, what about this? What about that? Oh, gosh, yeah, I'm stupid. Why didn't I connect that? No, you weren't stupid. You just didn't click,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to stop you, from the person conducting the course and going, hey, pause. Let's find that button you're not clicking on, right? But it also builds trust.
Yes.
And it builds, when you're doing an online course, when you're interactive with people, and if you have a few people on at the same time or in a group of people, it builds friendships and very often can build business partners, right? Because they find they've got the same interests. I can do this, you can do that. Let's
Yeah,
look at what we can
exactly.
do together.
Exactly.
So you're going into it from one point of view, but the going through it can reveal something totally different.
That's so true.
So these courses that you help people through is either in person or it's online. It could be for the solopreneur as well as the corporate.
Mhm. Yeah, the design and the approach is the same. It's just the audience and the content changes.
Right. And maybe production changes slightly differently according to who you're doing it for.
Yes, that a lot of the production, depends on the budget that people have in terms of
Exactly.
what they
Corporate
want,
can pay you a
what
hell of
type
a
of
lot more money
investment.
than a
Yeah,
solopreneur can.
yeah.
But
But
that
there's
doesn't
ways
mean
to
you,
make it work.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And, a solopreneur doesn't need all of that anyway,
Right.
right? But they want to be able to deliver, because how many people now in the last few years with COVID or before COVID, um, in their own lives of their own self-discovery have gone from, A, and then through B, C, D, E, F, have had challenges in their life. And now they've become a coach, helping people through those same challenges.
Hmm.
They're the best form of teachers because they understand they've been through it. But now it's the articulation of how to put that into a program that helps people through it in a way that makes sense and becomes a tool they can use in
Yes.
all areas of their life.
Yeah.
And very often you've got people that are very passionate about what they're doing, but there's this, I have no idea where to start of putting this together.
Yeah. I don't know where to start is the
Yeah.
big thing that comes up. I'm not sure how to organize it. Those are really the two
Mm,
big challenges that the solopreneur or small business person will have is how do I come at this? I have a sense of it, but I'm
yeah.
just not quite sure. And like a lot of things, getting started is the hardest part.
And you may have too many ideas. And sometimes, just taking a course like this, it could be, yeah, those are great ideas there for down the road, or yeah, that's great,
Yeah.
but it's not really applicable here, and
Yeah,
it's honing it
oftentimes
in.
it's yes, you don't just have a course, you have a curriculum.
Yes.
You have a whole series of things you can do.
Yeah,
So let's figure out where the best place is to start.
right. And don't be afraid to change things along the way if you find then this would be better here than that. Again, don't be so rigid. There's things, certain ABCs you need to have. On the other side of the things, you've got things that are that my audience here or my group here is really needing more of this from me. So I wasn't going to teach that right now, but maybe this is where they're all right now, so I need to do that. So the
Yeah,
flexibility is important. And again, that comes with your confidence through the years of knowing
absolutely.
I can change things around. And, practice makes perfect, folks. The more you do something, the more, it becomes second nature to you. But also don't forget to change things up as you go. Don't get complacent just because it worked 10 years ago doesn't mean it will work today.
No.
Refresher
Yes.
courses, that's something that's very much
Things
needed there.
because things around us change. So we have
Yes,
to be ready
we
to,
change.
yes.
We change. How many people start off in one direction doing this and that and then go, but now I've evolved and I've gone into that. I don't know if you saw the one with gone blank, the disability clothing, Mindy, the guest speaker at the 262. And she was a dress designer. And her son, when he's 8 with multiple sclerosis, says, I want to wear jeans to school. And of course, it's not something he could put on easily. So she designed him a new pair of jeans and ended up doing research and looking at all, talking to people with disabilities and creating a whole new fashion line, which she took to Tommy Hilfiger, who signed her up immediately. And now she can't do any of that. The demand for other clothing lines to say, how do we do this? She started up another
Mm.
company just to
Oh my
address
goodness.
that.
Wow.
So all it came back from was just giving her son the dignity of wearing a pair of jeans. So you don't know where you start, where it's going to take you, right? And so allow and be aware.
Absolutely.
Two big ones. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and go, okay, I'm a solopreneur, or I've got a small team, or I'm a big corporate, what are the next steps that they have to take?
Well, the easy way to reach me is through, you can email me, and my email is nancy@nancygiere.com, and Giere is Giere, and we can set up an initial conversation to figure out where you are and what you might need, and then we'll take it from there.
And of course, your book, Bundle Your Brilliance,
Yes,
is on Amazon. And this is all
yes,
about your steps and things that
that's
you need to
right.
take.
This is the
So,
whole methodology. It's very practical, very how to, and has a lot of great resources in it.
And it's, you know, for authors, speakers, coaches, it doesn't matter from where you are coming, right? It's there's all the same technique will match that.
It's the same methodology. It's
Right.
just, it's targeted towards that audience, but anybody with a good idea can benefit from the approach.
Right. Right. And of course, your free giveaway to everybody is 8 easy steps for creating, training the self, that cell,
Yes.
cell, SELL. So you have that, which people come back to the site to come and get, folks.
Yes.
You just put in Nancy Giere in the search engine and her show will come up and you can come back and click on that. That's free for you. So 8 steps to get you going. And they can also go to your site, nancygiere.com.
That's
and
correct.
on LinkedIn and Facebook, same, Nancy Giere, right?
Yeah, just send me a message.
Right. And you may go, okay, I've been doing this. I don't know if in the next, is to get into that side of it, what I need to do. The big one I imagine for people is also how much do I charge for this course? And so that's always a big one because I'm charging $10,000 a course. Well, not everybody can afford that, right?
It's really, and it's different. It all depends on the content and the transformation. And that's, one of the steps that we work through.
Okay, on who you're doing it for. You're not going to, for people who are other coaches that are solopreneurs, charge them $10,000 to take their course. That's, that's way too much for their bracket. But then if you've got a good team or obviously an organization, that's a different game altogether. Because they're also going to demand a lot more from you for more people too.
Yes.
So it's having that broad spectrum. As you said, you're teaching the same principles. You're just adapting how you're teaching to whom you're teaching it to, for what their needs are.
And I've had the opportunity to work with so many different types of businesses, different sizes, different types of businesses. The content's changed. So that allows me to really look at things to say kind of typically what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
In any given situation and really get people on a good path forward.
Right.
Unlike some folks out there, they create one course and then decide they can teach everybody else how to create a course. They have one great idea and one way that was successful.
Yes.
I have more than I can count with my
shoes. A whole fanful.
Yes,
fanful,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing is that, again, not one size fits all. We're all different people. We've all got different needs. But it is important for the solopreneur to be successful as it is for the corporate to be successful, because that success always has a ripple effect, right? And that's what we're needing out there, is that positive ripple effect of other people stepping in to, becoming a higher level human being, which is going to be for all these people that are the coaches that have been there, who've learned, know firsthand what worked for them, and now have decided to put it together in a program that can serve you. So, but it's the putting it in a way that comes authentically across of who they are and why they're doing it and whom it's for, what to put in it, how much to charge for it, so that they can feel confident about selling it.
Exactly.
And that's really important. Yeah.
And
remember, folks, just like your website, you have to go in and tweak. You have to go in and change things up now and again. And also, like things, social media, it isn't just about like and look at it once a month. It's about being interactive and building your connections there, because the people who will take your courses are people that you are interacting with. So how do you sell that as well? Do you cover that as well? How to sell a course?
Yes, we do. We talk about that as well.
There you go, folks. You've built the course. You've built it for your market. You've got the confidence on how to do it now. And now she also shows you actually how to sell that course to the right people for the right reason, for the right results. Right? So easy. How long is your course normally on that?
It varies. I work with people in different ways. I have a program that is a group program that's 4 months, where I guide people through the process. If I coach people one-on-one, it's also a 4-month window. And the time that it takes, to get from start to finish, a lot of it is, where does this fit into their priorities to get the work done? Because I'm training them in terms of how to do it. And that's one way of coming at it. I will have my own online course that'll be coming out later this year. It's in video editing now, so it should be done.
What's that going to be called?
It's going to be called Bundle Your Brilliance.
That And we
So,
are all brilliant. We're just all brilliant waiting to be discovered. And so when you find out what your brilliance is, you'll generally find out it's not just one track, it's not just one linear. It is there's a bundle there. And how do you put it together so that brilliance
yes.
comes through? And I like the fact also that you take your time. A lot of people think, well, I can do it over a weekend, this course, and then I know everything. If you really want to come across as that you've been doing this course for years, it's very much an extension of who you are, and these are the results. You need time to build that up because it isn't
Mhm.
just the steps. Now you do this, now you do that. There's a mindset behind it. And there's a whole reset that you have to go through in order to be able to do it authentically. So yeah, no quick fixes, folks. You've got to take the time for things to really root and solidify so that they're there to be your support in everything that you do. So don't keep looking, for the quick fixes that you're 7 figures in 7 days. It ain't gonna happen. Not legally.
Oh,
So again, Brundle Your Brilliance can be found on Amazon, and you can reach her site, Nancy Giere, Giere.com, Nancy at nancygiere.com, LinkedIn and Facebook, Nancy Giere. Reach out to her. Don't forget, folks, to share this show with other people that you know that are in business. Don't forget to have a conversation about it. Maybe it's even something you want to bundle together to take something together because it can enhance all of you and be supportive. I love collaborations. Underneath that umbrella is this handle. We could build a handle and everybody branch off, but you're under the one handle, and so you can support one another. So, there's so many ways that we can approach this. But the first thing is get started. Get
mhm.
started and know what you need to put in the course, why you need to do it, whom it's going to serve, and how can you do it with such ease that people feel very confident about you doing it. So those are the steps. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Nancy.
Oh, my pleasure.
Until next time, folks, remember the brilliance lies within you. All you have to do is let it out, but let it out in a way that it does have some structure so that it is grounded and allows you to fly. Until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.